Hello, fellow human beings. Just want to show you my Redcat Volcano EPX that I picked up at Best Buy for $99 about a year ago, I think it was. It just sat in the box. I didn't drive it. I knew the brushed version wasn't going to be enough scoot for me, so I knew I wanted to build a brushless truck, so that's what I've done, and I just want to show you some of the things I've done to it, maybe give you some ideas for your own truck. What what you may want to do, or some ideas and some input for you. So anyhow, I'll start with the exterior. As you can see, the truck sits a little lower than most volcanoes you see. I did lower the posts here 2 notches, and I drilled the holes in the body 15 millimeters further back. So that shifted the body forward, and then also lowered it down a little bit. So a little lower center of gravity. I don't know if that'll do anything for aerodynamics, keep it on the ground more or whatnot. I think it just overall looks better. It's a better look. By doing that, I did retain the front bumper. It sits right behind the body here, so it'll still work, but my body will take a little more damage. Not a big deal. I like the look a little better. Also, the rear bumper, I got one off the older version, Volcano. Also comes off of the Nitro version. So I got the kit for like $7 off of eBay. Some guy was selling it. He took it off his truck. I don't know what he put on there, but the factory brushed and the new models, you know how they get the plastic bumper that comes way out here and whatnot. And that would prohibit me from lowering the body down onto it also. So that was another reason why I wanted it to go. So I've not run the truck as a brush model. Now that I've built this brushless model, I ran it for about 15 or 20 minutes the other day. So it was everything I hoped it would become. I spent a little money to make it a faster truck, but it's a lot more fun. So the tires, only the rear 2 did I cut up at all, but I took a little hobby knife and one of these guys, hobby knife, and cut off some tread blocks here. So these ones that were in here, opened it up a little bit more, and then I used a Dremel tool with the disc and cut the grooves to break up the tread block, make them more individual tread blocks. Figured that'd give me a little more flex, maybe a little more traction. So with regular tire rotations, I should be able to see, tread life, if there's a difference, also traction, and if I get in any soupy stuff, maybe this will help out a little better. I don't know. Time will tell on that. But I also took some of the Redcat stickers off of the body, the red stickers, put the number on it, 9. Like I said, moved the holes 15 millimeters. Aluminum nuts, to hold the wheels on. And I think that's about it externally. So take the body off now, and also put a little zip tie on the clips there. Little tip I got, makes it easier to pull these pins out. And so there's the inside. So my upgrade parts, they are basically the Pro model parts. Like I said, eBay is a good place to pick up stuff cheap. Like the shocks were, I think, about $26 for all 8 of them. And little things like the chassis brace here, I don't remember what that was, $8 or something, and it came with the drive shaft. And now the brushless motor and the ESC, those are out of a Redcat Blackout XTE Pro. So instead of the 3300 kV motor, it's a 3800 kV motor. So I figured, it give me a little more top end. It's also a 4-pole motor, so instead of the 2-pole that came in the the Volcano Pro. I'm not sure whether they're still putting 2 poles in them or not, but this is a 4-pole motor, and I'll go into that more in a bit. But one of the first things you want to do when you get them out of the box, this upper link here on the suspension, you want to move this outer bolt or screw to the lowest hole in the hub, and then this mount, this hole, you want to move in the upper mount. That's a tip I got. It makes the suspension move more uniform in the similar arc. So that's one of the things you want to do. Now on the rear, you of course do the lower hole here, and then on the inside, I don't know if you can see there, it's the lower hole works fine, so that gives you the right angle for suspension travel. Now, as far as the shocks, I moved the shocks to the outer hole in the arm, and then to the inner hole on the tower. And what that does is that makes my arms sit more level with the ground. It also makes the dog bones sit more level with the ground, so they're not at so much of an angle. Yet it reduces some of your ground clearance, but this isn't a rock crawler, so I don't exactly need a lot of ground clearance. And I figured just as far as longevity, it's better to have the suspension set up that way. The aluminum hubs, of course, I read, or saw different things online. Yeah, you're going to break these, and I didn't want to go out and 5 minutes later break those, right? Especially stepping up to the brushless motor. So I got the aluminum hub kit, which came with the 2 pieces here and the 1 hub here, and then also the bearings, both inner and outer, because the brushed version comes with bushings rather than bearings. So it's got the bearings in it. You may have to put a little shim on the outside of the outer bearing, a little washer to take up some of the slack if you have a little too much play. So that's something you'll have to figure out if you go that route, if you haven't already. The rear here, I don't think there's much else. Oh yeah, this upper link here. Now, out of the box, this upper link mounts on the rear side of the hub ear here, right? Not on the forward like I have it here, but it mounts back here. And when they do that, it hits on the spring here. And so over time, I imagine those two will wear. So I moved it to the forward side of that ear on the hub. I figure that way it's not going to rub, and I suppose another solution, you can swap sides, put this hub over on the right and the right hub over on the left. So that's an option. The rear bumper that I got off eBay, it came with everything. The guy, I guess he took it off his truck right away, but came with the springs and then this post here with the hex, and then it clips into the little ball socket type deals. And then a couple screws back here, go in. So that's that for the rear. On the front, the dog bone, they are 89.5 millimeters in length. I went with a heavy duty dog bone because I know dog bones are prone to breaking. So you can see it's got a little bigger diameter here. And the inside here on this cup out of the differential, I put a little spring out of a Bic pen. Take a little spring out of the pen and I cut it in half and then, cut a couple coils off of it. And so that little spring, slide it into the cup there, and then you put your dog bone in so that it pushes the dog bone outward and keeps it well seated in the outer cup here. So when you're turning, you don't, put that dog bone on the very end of that cup and potentially lose the dog bone or bend it or break the cup or, whatever can occur with that. But you want just enough tension where the dog bone still has a little bit of slop. Like mine, you can't really See how it still has play? It's not completely loaded there. You know, you don't want to overload anything. So just enough tension to keep it well seated in that outer cup. That is about it. I do plan on putting aluminum turnbuckles on it, you know, here in the not too distant future. I'm going to take this thing out tomorrow. I'm going to go run it around at a nearby park and go have some fun with it. So I've only run it one time, and you know, it went great with the new setup. I'm very happy with it. It's just the right amount of speed, you know, and that's running on a 2S. I don't think I'd want, I mean, 3S, yeah, it's fast, right? And 4S and 19S, they're all fast and fun, but you're just breaking stuff. 2S is plenty fast, plenty fun, you know, and you can do what you need to do and not just be the fastest guy in the world, right? So I did run it for about 15-20 minutes on my 2S Lipo. It's a 5,000 mAh, 20 to 30 C discharge. I did solder on these Dean's connectors. They're Amos, I believe is a brand. AMASS. You don't have to use shrink tubing with these. This little gray sleeve here, you slide it over the wires, you solder on the connector, and then you clip it back on. Now on the advertisement for the little part, right, because it came with a couple of them, right? So they advertised that it could do up to 10 gauge wire, and yes, it can, but that is the maximum. So this Turnigy Lipo came with a 10 gauge wire, and that was it was maximum. And you can see the light gray cracking around here. That all occurred because of the soldering and just the size of the wire. You just got to make it work, you know, and it does, and it covers the connections there. But if I was going to say maximum, I'd say 12 is as large as you can go. And, you know, probably 14 is ideal, but 12 would be great, I think. I don't think you'd have any issues with 12. So the Blackout motor ESC combo, it's a 60 amp HobbyWing ready to run ESC. It does have programming, you know, it's got the little button here. You hold it down and then turn the ESC on and beep, 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 do your programming, so you can set the punch control and you can set drag brake and, you know, cut off and whatnot. So I set the Lipo cutoff at 3.4 volts. This here's my little low voltage alarm I picked up at a hobby shop for like $6 or $7. You know, it'll take multiple size lipos. You just plug your lipo balance on there, and it tells you, you know, first cell 4.15, second cell 4.15, right? So all cells. Okay, 8.33. So, but anyhow, so I set the ESC at 3.4 for cutoff, and then I set this alarm here at 3.2. And I just Velcroed it on there, you know, some Velcro, and I run the receiver wire. I just run it under there just to kind of keep it tied down. But it, so that if the ESC doesn't shut off at 3.4 and it keeps pulling on the Lipo, this here at 3.2 will tell me, hey, you know, your ESC isn't shutting this thing down. So it's just, you know, fail safe kind of thing. The receiver is the standard receiver that came, you know, with the radio and whatnot, and it works just fine. The Servo, I did buy the Hexfly HX-15CC. So it is the Metal Gear Servo. It's a 15 kilogram rather than the 3 kilogram that came in the truck. So a little stronger servo, definitely can tell. This is what it should have had in it, whether it's a brushed or brushless version. The 3 kilogram, I mean, that's trash. Just throw it in the garbage can. This one, we'll see how long this lasts, but the CC comes with a shorter wire on it. And so that's what I wanted. I didn't want, you know, a whole nest of wires under here. So you can see it comes right out of the back and right up over here to the receiver. So nice short wire. I zip tied, you know, the pieces there. You know, I may solder, you know, since this is a thinner gauge wire, I might solder a Dean's on here and maybe shorten it up a little bit. You know, I don't know. We'll see. You know, standard configuration with your brushless motor ABC, and you may have to swap A and C if it's running backwards or whatnot. So I did tighten up, also the servo saver. I did tighten it up. I do plan on putting the aluminum steering parts in here also. Just so, you know, all of that's tighter, you know. I'll probably stay with the plastic, you know, lower control arm. Probably the towers stay with plastic. Time will tell with those things. As far as the spur and pinion, the brushed version comes with a plastic spur gear, the main gear, big gear here, which is 64 tooth. The Pro model comes with the metal spur gear there, so that's what's in there right now, the 64 metal. And then as far as the pinion, I ran the 21 tooth out of the Pro model just around the house just to kind of see what it would do. And it was a little too tall geared, a little too much cogging, you know, on takeoff with the motor. So I didn't really, you know, think that was the way to go. So I got an 18 and a 19 tooth metal gear pinion, and I put the 19 in it, you know, after calculating, you know, running a blackout and whatnot, and it's perfect. 19, you could run 18 even, wouldn't be a problem. I mean, the truck has plenty of power, plenty of speed, so 19 seems just right. So that's what I'm running right now. Motor temps, I didn't notice it getting hot at all. You know, I could touch the motor after I ran it for 15-20 minutes. I could, you know, put my finger on it and, you know, wasn't scorching me or anything else. Of course, your wires get a little warm and whatnot, but not too much heat. So overall, I'm very happy with it. The battery, hard case Lipo. So with the, you know, the nickel metal hydride batteries, they're rounded. And so these little posts here being rounded to hold that battery isn't going to work if you have a hard case Lipo, right? So you can unscrew them from the bottom of the chassis under here, and you can take these posts out. I didn't take them off. I just used my Dremel and just kind of cut a 90-degree corner on these, and it works perfect. The hard case Lipo, you know, went right in, you know, and it fits. It doesn't move around. This is a really good battery for this setup. I didn't notice any slack as far as, you know, runtime or you know, punch, nothing. So very happy, you know, the way the trucks come together. I don't really have any complaint. The only complaint I have is I started backing up because I didn't have a spacer on the outer bearing here. The hub, the stub axle. So I noticed the nut backed off a little bit on this wheel here. So that's the only complaint so far. So, you know, I'll just keep my eye on it when I run it, take a tool with me. But really impressed, you know, for a cheap truck, you know, how easy it is to make it a fun truck. You know, it's yeah, you can get the brush version and your 9-year-old kid will have fun with it, but if you're an adult or anybody that's been around speed in any way, shape, or form, it's not going to be enough for you. So definitely, you know, happy with the brushless setup. And time will tell, like I say, you know, what'll need to be replaced, and, you know, new information that I'll have and maybe be able to share. And I hope this video helps some of you guys out there that are buying the same vehicle. And I'll post up another vehicle of running this thing around on some dirt maybe. So have a good day, good week, good year. Later.